Welcome to the VarsityKansas.com Big Show. I'm Joanna Chadwick of the Wichita Eagle and VarsityKansas.com, and we are taping here at KSN. And my guest today is Maize South boys basketball coach, Kip Schultz. Thanks for being here, Coach.
Thanks for having me.
All right, I love the logo that you guys have. Y'all did it right when you came out with your logos.
This one was a bridge off of the original, and a company offered to send me a top, so I added a red eye and a little bit of puff of smoke, so it's not actually legitimate, but it's one that I like.
I really like it. Well, the colors are good too. All right, your team is sitting at 4-2, and how do you feel like you guys are playing right now?
14-2, and we're playing pretty well. You've been around, you've seen how we've done. I don't think we've hit a full game yet. I think there's just been a few pieces missing. Obviously, the Barney kid out for the last 2 games, concussion sustained in Collegiate's game. Our 2-guard, Jack Dominic, has been out, tweaked back. We don't know what's quite wrong with him, but we feel like the other night without Brett and Jack that versus Arc City, who played us to a 3-point game down there, we might have finally started putting it all together without Brett and learning how we can play a perimeter game along with a post game. So right now we feel great about where we're at, but only time tells.
Well, you have some very good components there, because obviously Brett impresses. He can, obviously, I've seen him shoot from 3. He can also score inside. Kate is another player, Peyton Ricks. You have a lot of nice components in there.
Absolutely, and I think the one kid that gets lost in that shuffle is Kellen Philby. He's been with me, started playing some as a freshman, has a tendency to try to get the long ball in first, needs to work inside out, and every time he does that, he does a nice job. So he's kind of an X factor for us on how well he shoots offensively. The downfall for this team is we're long, 6'9", 6'7", 6'4", 6'4" at times, and then 5'7" as a starting guard. But that tends to not equal really quick feet. So we're trying to establish some defensive prowess every day in practice to get them to play tougher and harder. But it gets hard when you're so long because, you know, it doesn't work in high school to be that long and be quick.
Right. Well, and talk a little bit, too. You only have 2 losses, losing to Heights and to Eisenhower, obviously 2 very good teams. What do you feel like you guys learned from those games?
Both teams, I would say, if you were at both games, and I believe you were. Heights game, we just came out in a big arena, college environment, and we kind of just laid an egg. And then when we decided we would fight back, which ended up being about 6 minutes to go in the game, we cut a 21-point deficit down to 11, and we just couldn't turn the corner. So we felt like we made some strides in learning how to play more physical. Now, the Eisenhower game, on the other hand, I just felt like we gave them too much credit. So when we walk on the floor, oh, they're supposed to win, so we'll allow them to do so without a fight. And interestingly enough, I didn't even speak at halftime. My head assistant, Brandon Wolf, was the guy that went in and addressed the kids and basically said everything I would say. And we came out the second half, and, you know, I think it came down to a 2-second kind of a fumble play at the end, maybe not a foul, but, you know, we get beat by 1 after making a steal. So we felt great about the way we closed, but likewise, we can't wait to play them again a week from tomorrow in our house to see how much we've grown.
Well, and you now go into a stretch of the season where in consecutive games you play Andover Central, which just took Eisenhower to double overtime. Andover, which is above 500 at this point, has played really strong all season. And then again, like you said, in Eisenhower. How do you prepare for this stretch?
I don't know that there's any one way to prepare. I know this, and I said this the other night, and I really believe it. We're a 1-game-at-a-time team. I've watched film of the first game we played, Andover Central. They're improved. Jesse does a great job coaching that group. Parnell is just on a tear right now, and we happen to do a decent job on him, but I know he's just containable as long as you can contain him before he makes some breakdown moves. And at the end of our last game, he really tore us up inside, but we had switched to defense and given him some freedoms. But they're playing well. I think the best team, and I said this after game 2, or actually game 4, that Andover was still going to be one of the teams to beat because Chad does an excellent job with that team as well, and both those games are on the road. It's a Tuesday, Friday. If you don't get good travel from fans, it's hard to get up. I mean, it won't be hard for the players to get up, but to sustain that kind of focus and energy, you really do count on your fans to pick you up. So those games are going to be tough.
And you have a very good fan base, too. That's one thing that Maize South has impressed me with, that no matter the sport, they come out for you.
Sure. I feel like, and I should say thanks to them today because I do Twitter and Facebook. I thank them a lot. But it doesn't hurt that Coach Pfeiffer and I being best friends, me coaching on his staff and he on mine. We tell those kids, hey, you need to get out and support. Whether you're a football kid and a basketball kid or vice versa, you need to get out and support the cause. But we didn't get as much support even last year up to that point. But it's hard to support a team that hasn't had very many wins. So.
Well, let's talk about that too. I mean, because building this program, you're still a very young school, and you had some rough years. And I know you guys showed improvement over the past couple, getting 8 wins. But still, what are some of those difficulties you had in building the program?
It's a catch question right here. The difficulties are that you just come in with kids that were at one high school, Maize High, and we split that off, and they obviously retained a majority of the talent that was in the pool at the time. And so we were dealing with a lot of young kids who took a chance to come over who may or may not have seen any time on the floor at all, varsity level. So those first 3 years with those kids that were going to be sophomores coming in, it was rough. And I know my wife would be the first to tell you that there's a lot of sleepless nights, game plan, scheming, and all those things. It was more to scheme to try to stop teams from beating you too bad. And now it's more where we knew where we come from, so we don't want to repeat history. And we finally got some buy-in, and for the first time ever, we've got, out of our 16 kids, 14 of them list basketball as their favorite sport, whereas even last year, we kept 19 last year on varsity level, and I think only 8 or 9 said basketball is their favorite sport. So we've definitely moved, what we feel is a good core group of kids into the position to win some ball games finally.
We're entering the time period where sub-states are not very far away. And how do you approach them right now, looking at you're in a very different position? You're no longer that underdog. You're a favorite.
Sure. And it's hard to look at that. I just looked at them before I came over, and the top 3 teams, obviously, in our division, Hayes, Eisenhower, and us, all have winning records. Don't quote me exact, but I think it was 44 wins between the 3 of us, 22 amongst the other 5. And so it's hard to think about, and I think Taylor Eldridge had posted it, that one of those teams, pending they don't have a couple losses and we gain some ground, will have to play us with flip of a coin, possibly. So I think it feels good for us because we were 3rd in our sub-state last year, but we had 8 wins, and we still didn't feel like we were there to turn that corner yet. And we faced a Liberal team that just out-physicaled us. Now this year, a year older, a year wiser, bigger, healthier, stronger. Brett playing exceptionally well. He's about 15 a game, 8 boards, 2 blocks, 3 or 4 assists. Does a great job sharing the ball. Cade is at 20 a game now. He's been over 30, I think, twice this year. Had 29 the other night. The kid shoots the ball 50% from 2 and 47 from 3. Brett is shooting at 60 from 2 and about 30 from 3 this year. And then we've got Peyton Ricks, who's probably the most quiet kid that's come up, averaging, maybe 4 turnovers a game, but 6 assists, 3 or 4 steals, and now he's bumped his average number of points per game up near the 11 or 12. So we finally got a big 3 that are scoring in double digits on a nightly basis, and that has, added such a dimension that we've never had. And then, as before mentioned, the Philby kid coming in, the Alex Martin 6'7" kid coming in, playing some, and all those kids providing a little bit of a lift. A Coster kid is new, 6'4". He's been coming up and playing some. We've got a lot of kids that actually are going to start seeing some minutes, hopefully, to rest our kids so we can be a little bit more energetic late in the game.
Well, good. Well, Coach, thank you so much for being here, and good luck to you guys.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. Well, last week was the start of postseason events, and it was very interesting, of course. In City League swimming, it was East High winning its 6th straight boys swim title, as expected. Joe Hutchinson, he was my guest last week on the Big Show, so maybe it was the karma, or maybe they're just really good. And Maize High, they won in Division 1 of the ABCTL, and Maize South, they also won in their division. The City League wrestling had some excitement. Here's Northwest, had gone all season unbeaten in City League duels. They finished 3rd, which meant a three-way tie for the City League title. That's a crazy finish to yet another City League wrestling season. In the City League boys, it's the East boys. They beat Heights. That gives East a 2-game lead in the City League, which is huge considering how close they were packed in with Heights, who they had only beaten by 1 before, and now they have a chance to clinch a share of the title on Tuesday night against West High. The Derby boys, what an unbelievable season they're having. 3 double overtime victories for Derby, 2 of them last week. That's right. They've not only played 3 double overtime games this year, but 2 of them last week, and they are 3-0 in those games. Pretty impressive right there. And Eisenhower also needed double overtime to beat Andover Central, and I got to watch the Heston boys beat Hillsboro, where Grant Raleigh scored in the final seconds at Hillsboro to keep Heston unbeaten. This week it's state swimming up in Topeka. I've got a very cool story that I'm working on for Friday, so check it out on the Wichita Eagle and varsitykansas.com. And we will also have state coverage both Friday and Saturday. Saturday's busy though. We've got City League bowling that we'll be covering, as well as wrestling regionals. Area wrestlers will be wrestling out at Northwest, Capon, Winfield Heights. It's going to be pretty busy, so make sure to get out there and check out some of that. And you know what? I want you to come and tell me what story I have not written that you think I should be writing. Reach out to me. You can catch me on email, jchadwick@wichitaeagle.com. You can also get me on Twitter at any time at Joanna Chadwick. Thanks so much for watching the varsitykansas.com Big Show. I will be chatting live on Wednesday from 1:30 to 2:30 at varsitykansas.com. We'll see you then.